Well, the stock of the moment is Escorts, now down almost 6% on huge volumes. The street is definitely quite cautious post the management commentary that industry will grow only 0 to 4% in Q4. But there are big earnings lined up later today. Axis Bank, the earnings are expected. What is the street watching out for? Abhishek, our colleague, is here to give us the key numbers. Abhishek, over to you.
Well, Sonia, to begin with, analysts will be focusing on what the kind of slippages that the bank reports. Now, analysts on street are working with a number of 4,800 to 5,000 crore. But remember, we need to see how the slippages happen, whether they happen from the known BB and lower rated book and the watch list, or they happen outside that. So last quarter, the slippages were at 2,800 crore. 88% of this came in from the BB and lower rated book. The BB and lower rated book in itself stands at around 16,500 crore. Any improvement over there will be positive. So the asset quality movement will be seen closely. Last quarter, the gross NPA was at 5.96%, and this quarter, analysts are working with a 30-35 basis point improvement in terms of the gross NPA alone. The loan growth, if you look at the historical 5 quarters, 4 times the loan growth has grown between 14 to 20%. So anything about 12% in terms of loan growth will be positive, and the net interest margin improvement will be positive. Pricing has been a key factor for private banks, which has improved in this quarter, and that has aided the net interest margin. So our poll suggests NII growth of 14.5%, while net profit can be the highest in 6 quarters at 1,276 crores. Back to you.
That would be Shikha Sharma's hurrah, right? If it is the highest in 6 quarters, the net profit. Okay. Bank of Baroda as well?
Well, Bank of Baroda, the slippages, analysts are working with a decline sequentially to about 3,200 to 3,500 crore. Last quarter, it was at 3,751 crore. The asset quality movement will be seen very closely. 11.8% gross NPA in terms of how the recovery happens and it improves will be seen closely. So treasury gains will be strong in this quarter, given the fact that bond yields have actually declined, and Bank of Baroda has a higher duration on its treasury portfolio. The loan growth expected to be between 8 to 10%, but the domestic loan growth can be above 18%, which will be positive for the net interest margin as a whole. Our poll suggests NII growth of 7.5%, while analysts are expecting the net profit to be the highest in last 14 quarters at around 973 crores. Back to you.
What did you say about slippages? I mean, considering that Bank of India had so many slippages, and they would have all given loans to the same guys, right?
Bank of India, you cannot compare both Bank of Baroda and Bank of India, because Bank of India has been bleeding since 2008. The slippages over here are expected to improve to about 3,200 to 3,500 crore. Last quarter, it was at 3,751 crores.
Okay. So more or less like last quarter. Okay, well, that's the word on the 2 major companies, 2 major banking stocks that will announce numbers. I think we'll also have 2 finance companies announcing numbers. So maybe we want to persist with that. Abhishek, would you have the Bajaj numbers also handy? You can tell us what to expect.
Well, the AUM growth or the loan growth, Lata, is expected to be between 35 to 40%. Last quarter, it was at 38%. Why the loan growth can be on the higher side? This quarter or Q3 FY19, Bajaj Finance has had a full festive season falling into the quarter, unlike Q3 FY18, where half of the festive season fell into the quarter. So, sustaining the gross NPA at 1.5% will be positive, and the net interest margin movement will be seen closely, given the fact that cost of funds for entire NBFCs have risen. Our poll suggests NII growth of 30%, while net profit to grow at 29%. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks a lot for that. We'll watch out for all these stocks. For now, well, let's take stock of the market. It's, of course, come back from the low point of the day. So we have our technical experts joining us, Mitesh Thakkar and Rajat Bose with us, and of course, Ashwini will also join us in a bit. Mitesh, your thoughts on first few minutes of trade, and what are your stock calls now?
I think Anuj, at some kind of recovery around the 10,620 mark, the overall structure is weak. But if you look at the movement from Friday, when the intraday high was 10,930, we have dropped about 300 points in less than about 3 days. So I think today could be a day where it could be a choppy day, where you would get bounces of short covering and profit booking on the short side. But the idea for me is that unless until we cross 10,750, 730 zone, I think the structure would be negative. So selling around higher levels, close to about 10,700, 720 is what I would suggest on the index. On stocks, I have 1 buy and 1 sell call. Kotak Bank has come to good support areas, so buy with a stop at 1250. Look for targets of 1290. And Gas Authority or GAIL is a sell with a stop at 333 for targets of 310.
What about buying? I mean, would you be a buyer on the index at 10,620, 25 levels?
Lata, I think that's a slightly riskier trade, but I could still attempt it because the risk-reward equation could be good. Around 10,630, if you buy with a 20-point stop, you can get about 60 to 70 point kind of an upside. But that should be a 1-2 day or a max intraday kind of a trade. Max 1-2 day kind of a trade.
Okay, I just want to point out that Indiabulls Housing has completely fallen off a cliff right now. It's down about 5.5%. It is the biggest monthly loser, down almost 25%. So the poster boy of the fall in the NBFC space is Indiabulls Housing. Rajat Bose joins in. Ashwini Gujral is also with us. Ashwini, I want to come to you. On the fall, the crack that we're seeing in NBFCs, how do you trade it, especially names like Indiabulls, and any other stocks that you've spotted right now?
See, in the morning I had 3 short calls on NBFCs, and I think all these 2 or 3 stocks were in that list. But overall, just for the day, couple of days, I don't think there is great value in going short. So if it's a longer term type of call, I think all of these stocks will make fresh lows at some point. But today's call is that you should be long on the index. The private banks are slowly coming back. Tomorrow you have expiry, etc. So the moment we are able to take 10,680 out on the Nifty January futures, you will see fairly strong short covering. So the idea should be to buy on Nifty, Bank Nifty, etc. Keep low of the day as a stop. And today you could have fairly ferocious rally. NBFCs may not participate, but it appears that PSU banks and other private banks are likely participants.
Okay. Rajat Bose also with us. Good morning, Rajat. What stocks are you trading now at 10?
I would buy Jubilant Foods. That looks good to me. I would say that it is headed for 1238 to about 1250 range. My 2 targets are 1238 and 1247, and I would put a stop loss below 1203. And Escorts is a sale. I mean, I would put a stop loss above 647.50. 637 and 634 are the 2 immediate targets, but it could even slide down to 628.
Okay. Well, just a word on some of these PSU banks. They're rallying right now, but the price pattern over the last few days has been very, very interesting. Just ahead of expiry. So, that's the Nifty PSU bank. For now, the index is up about 1%. But let's just pull out a 7-day chart or a 14-day chart of the Nifty PSU bank, and that's interesting. Kind of positions building up on that particular index. It's down about 5% over the last 7 days. So I don't know if the street is expecting any kind of negativity on the PSU banks, but it looks like smart money perhaps is preparing for some kind of move on that. So just be a bit cautious over there.
Okay.